So we're back. Welcome back, friends. It's Anders. Today, we're gonna be making a cocktail known as the Alberto, also called the Alberto Martini, because this is a riff on the Martini. It's a classic, almost 100 years old. It's kind of been forgotten about. However, I've been reading some things and hearing some things, and people are talking about it. You know, there's some chatter. We'll talk a little bit about the history, although there's not much to tell. I just really want to show you a great martini for the summertime. I know usually I'm leaning towards more of the sour style cocktails this time of year, so this is a nice stirred cocktail to mix things up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more sips, tips, and recipes, and let's go make the Alberto. To the bar. Today's video is sponsored by AeroPress. If you like a good cup of coffee and you enjoy traveling, you probably already know all about AeroPress. However, I am here today to tell you about their latest innovation, the AeroPress Go Plus, which is the first complete coffee travel system. You can brew your coffee directly into this travel mug that also serves as a storage system, meaning it holds the measuring cup, the collapsible stir stick, and the AeroPress itself, which is the same size as the original AeroPress. And on the bottom is a little filter holder. Of course, it's a travel mug, so it has a top that uses a magnetic slider, which happens to look like a little AeroPress. Isn't that cute? Don't you love it? Just load it up with all the tools, take it wherever you want, make your cup of coffee wherever you want, and enjoy it on the go. AeroPress uses air pressure to speed up the brewing process, so it only takes about 2 minutes. I can finally have a great cup of coffee wherever I go. And have we got an incredible offer for you. If you click the link down below or go to aeropress.com/tothebar and use the code TOTHEBAR at checkout, you'll get 20% off. That's AeroPress, AeroPress.com/tothebar, and use the code TOTHEBAR, all one word, at checkout. It is time to say goodbye to crappy coffee, and yes, to better adventures fueled by better coffee. What do you have to say about that? Thank you, AeroPress. Onto the film. The Alberto. So this cocktail dates back a little ways. It's considered a classic, but it's really tricky to cover the history because there's not a whole lot I could dig up. Now, the Alberto was also known as the Alberto Martini. And for you art fans out there, there was an Italian painter in the early 1900s named Alberto Martini. And as far as I could tell, there was no relationship between the drink and the painter. We see first print of this drink in 1937 in the Café Royal cocktail book by William James Tarling. Now, in the book, he credits a guy named A.J. Smith. Actually, I don't know if it was a guy. Somebody named A.J. Smith as the creator. And if you Google A.J. Smith, you're not gonna find anything about somebody creating a cocktail 100 years ago. And I didn't see any other cocktails that A.J. Smith created. But apparently A.J. Smith created the Alberto. Was the A in A.J. Alberto? We don't know. Did A.J. Smith name this drink after the Italian painter? Maybe. So there are a lot of unknowns here. What we do know, though, is that this is essentially a riff on a martini. More specifically, this would be a riff on a wet martini. If you look at the original specs, it's equal parts gin, Lillet, and sherry. You have Lillet and sherry, both fortified wines. They would replace the vermouth. You have more fortified wine than you do the gin. That makes it wet. In the recipe, there's also a splash of Cointreau, an orange liqueur. A lot of new recipes have dropped the Cointreau out, which I think is a poor move. I really like a little bit of orange in there. And everything else I want to say about this, I should have the booze in front of me because I'm going to talk about what goes in it. So now the booze. How do I look? Do I look refreshed? I wasn't here last week. So we will be taking next week off. No, we won't. We won't. We're here. We're here. We got things to do. We've got cocktails to make. And what was I doing? Oh, the booze. To make the Alberto, we will need dry gin, dry sherry, Cocchi Americano, and an orange liqueur. I like a nice dry gin in my martinis, so whatever you like in your martinis, use that gin in this cocktail. Nice bright botanicals, they're gonna come through. So onto the sherry. We want a Fino sherry here, which is a really bone dry sherry. Manzanilla is another good example of a dry sherry that would work as well. It's gonna give it a little bit of some briny notes, some savory notes. What's one thing to remember about sherry? Does not last forever. That's right, we store it in the fridge. Once it's open, especially the really dry sherries, they do not last that long. Another thing to keep in your fridge once it's opened is the Cocchi Americano. Now, I'm being specific about the Cocchi Americano, even though the original recipe called for Lillet. Back then, it was something called Quina Lillet, which had quinine added to it, which gave it a bitterness. In the 80s, they changed the recipe and they turned into Lillet Blanc. It's not to say you couldn't use Lillet Blanc, but the Cocchi Americano is actually closer to Quina Lillet, and it gives you that bitterness that we want in this cocktail. Now, there are other alternatives, other substitutes that you could use for Quina Lillet. Tempest Fugit makes one. There are a few different ones. Moving on to the orange liqueur. I'm going with Cointreau, which is what the original recipe used. It's what the original recipe called for. And they say you have triple sec and you have Cointreau, but Cointreau is a triple sec. That's it. Let's build. Yeah. Oh, I do also happen to have an orange. I'm going to express some orange oil across the top. Now, this cocktail will be served up. Get your glassware in the freezer. My hair is voluminous today. It's humid today, and my hair likes to poof out when it's humid outside. Let's start with the gin. 1 ounce of your dry gin. To that, 1 ounce of your Fino sherry, half an ounce of the Cocchi Americano. This is where I break away from the all equal parts, but I am gonna do a full ½ ounce of the Cointreau. This is quite a bit more than all other recipes I've seen. I don't know why people started taking the orange liqueur out of this cocktail. In fact, I don't know why a lot of people do the things they do with martinis in general. Like, a lot of people will leave the vermouth out altogether, in which case they're just having themselves a nice glass of gin. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm guessing that they had too many martinis with vermouth that went bad. Another theory could be that they think that the vermouth weakens the drink and they should be drinking a stronger cocktail because it makes them strong and cool, which is a mindset that I don't have. I know we're not making the martini, but this has kind of turned into a little bit of a martini rant. So on that note, we can add ice and stir and strain the cocktail into your chilled cocktail glass. So I'm going to express some orange oil across the top, hit the sides, and it's up to you if you want to garnish this. I wasn't going to, but I think I might. Parallelogram, drop that on there. Most beautiful thing you ever did see. There we have the Alberto. Cheers. This is a full cocktail I've made. Wash line be damned. Just going to make sure we're... I gotta tell you, that is unlike most martinis you're gonna have, but it is outstanding. The gin isn't punching you in the face. It's there. I'm getting more of the sherry and that orange, so it kind of reminds me of a sherry cobbler. And then there's a bitterness on the end from the Cocchi Americano, which I really like. Let me take another sip because I enjoy it. That is tasty. That is really good. That, my friends, is the ultimate summer martini. I hope you make this. Let me know in the comments down below if you do. Sign up for the newsletter. Thank you, AeroPress, for sponsoring today's film. Thank you, as always, the viewer, for watching. We will see you next time. Cheers. And a good day to you. I said good day.